How's it going? Dave from Comic Book Investments. Well, in this video, this is going to be 5 keys that I am avoiding. Not really buying because they're going down and they keep on dropping more and more and more. And I'm also the ones I do have, I'm just trying to sell and get rid of because they continue to drop. And I'll show you that some of these books have dropped by 50, even 70% since their highs with actual sales data, showing you exactly what I'm seeing. So let's just get right into it. Before I do, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. All right, thanks. Let's see. Number 1, we got Special Marvel Edition 15. This is the first appearance of Shang-Chi. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering, like, why is this book in here? This is super popular. The movie did really well, all this kind of stuff. Well, sometimes it doesn't always work out comic-wise, and so let's just look at the numbers and see what the numbers are telling me. Here we have a 9.4. At its peak, it was $3,605. That's what it sold for in May at its peak price. Currently, and when I mean current, I literally mean the most recent sale, $1,500 for a 9.4. That is a 58% decrease from the current. And if you look down here at this little graph down the bottom, you can see how it spiked way up, came back down, and is just dropping. The dark purple line is average prices. The light purple are just peaks and valleys of just one-offs or, different things like that. Like a couple a little high, a couple a little low, but the dark purple line is the average. Next, we got an 8.0. In May, sold for $1,200. Now it's selling for $686. That is a decrease of 43%. A 5.5 back in April was its peak, sold for $800. Now, currently, it sells for $410, and that's minus 49%. Now, why do I think this book is going down? Usually that's how it happens with these kind of movie, TV show characters, is there's just all this hype going up to it, and then once the movie comes out, it's just like hype is already going down. And because these, like, think about it. Before a movie comes out, what are you going to see? Trailers everywhere, advertisements everywhere. Maybe they have a fast food deal with McDonald's or something like that, and you'll see just toys, all this kind of stuff. But then the movie comes out, they kind of, that was the whole point of just pushing everything along. And then, you're hoping the movie's good, and you have word of mouth that comes out and pushes it, many, many weeks, down the line, making more and more money. But that's kind of what happens. And also, there's been a little weirdness with China in this movie. It wasn't shown in China, and they're not even sure that, like, the actor that played Shang-Chi, like, he's on, like, some kind of maybe list with them where they don't really want to show him, and it kind of jeopardizes what possibly could be with the actor who played Shang-Chi going forward in the MCU, things like that. So there's a little weirdness going on. I don't know all the exact details, but that could also hinder them. Like I said, this movie wasn't shown in China, which is literally the same amount of money that's made in North America is made in China from box office. So that is not good going forward with this movie franchise. So that could probably play a little part in it. But I think just the hype was going so high, and now, like, I have another thing I look at is, maybe a few sales aren't that bad in October compared to their peak in May. But I'm also seeing is there's not that many sales. That means it's not only that it's going down, but there's not that much demand. So the little sales that are happening, they're just very small and few in between, not as much as the previous month. So the demand has definitely shrunk, which then also makes the price go down. All right, moving on to number 2, we got G.I. Joe number 21. And this is the first appearance of Snake Eyes. Now, they made a G.I. Joe movie about Snake Eyes that bombed. And I'm not talking about the movie itself, I'm talking about financially bombed. Didn't make that much money, which really just kind of puts like a thorn in the side of them making future G.I. Joe movies. So not really sure what's going on with the franchise going forward. But we look here, a 9.6 at its peak in April, sold for $2,500. Now it sells for $701, minus 72% for 9.6. And if you look at the graph, you can see it just a whoop, boom. I think this graph is for the 8.0. The 8.0 sold for $400 in July, now sells for $198, 50% drop. 7.0, $275 in May, now sells $171, and that's minus 38% drop. Now you want to see that maybe the most recent sale isn't up to its peak, but you don't want to see graphs like this. You don't want to see them going up and just going down. What you want, maybe it doesn't hit its peak, but it gets close to it. You want to see new peaks constantly be hit, right? And that's not what's happening with these. They just keep on going down. And like I said before in the last one, you're seeing less actual sales of it being sold. And what happens when you see less, let's say on average in its hot month, April or May or something like that, there's 50 sales of the entire book, different grades, throughout the whole month, right? Well, what happens when September rolls around or October and there's only 5 sales? Well, people are still listing theirs, so all of a sudden you go from barely any supply to all of a sudden not that many sales. So the next month rolls around and a bunch of people list their comics, and now it goes from like maybe there's 75 on eBay and 50 were taken up, in say April, May, but now there's say September there's like 25 or something like that. Only 5 get taken, but another 50 come up. Now you just have a massive supply, and that's what's happening with these books. So even if like there's so much supply that they just get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. One comes up in the auction and doesn't do that well, so that's what brings the price down. Moving on to 3, we got Silver Surfer number 3, first appearance of Mephisto. This was really popular a little bit right when WandaVision was coming out because a lot of people speculated on that. There's some people speculating that he might show up in Doctor Strange 2 or the new Spider-Man movie or something like that. I personally don't think so. I think it's a lot of spec buying. And you can see, if you look at this, I started at a 6.0 because there's no sales higher than that in October. None. So we had to start at a 6.0 because I'm trying to get the current price. I don't want to give you a price that's from August as the current price. So a 6.0's peak was in May, $15.45. Now, currently, one sold in October for $800, minus 48%. 5.5 sold in March for $1,025. Now sells for $850, minus 17%. Not as bad. 4.0 back in August was its peak for $695. Now sells for $550. So this one is not as bad as some of the other ones because it is still a Silver Surfer, which is really hot right now, and it is kind of an older book, so there's not as much supply as, say, the G.I. Joe or the Master Kung Fu. So that helps it. You can go on eBay, you'll probably find a bazillion of the special Marvel Edition 15 and not so many of this. But again, like I said, like the 6.0 was the highest grade of the most recent sale, right? So the highest grade for one sold in October was a 6.0. So not much are being actually sold. Now, when I say like these are books I'm avoiding, I'm actually avoiding them. Like when I see them come around, I'm not really into them. Now that doesn't stop the fact if, like, let's say this 6.0 currently sells for $800 and someone offers it to me for $600, I'm not going to jump on it, right? Because that's a good deal. A good deal is still a good deal, even if it's trending down. Just know that it's trending down. So if this is $800 today, maybe by the time I get it in and I list it up for sale, maybe the new current will be $750 or $700. If you have to send it off to CGC, maybe in 6 months, 3 months, whenever it comes back, it's now at like $650. You just have to consider all these kinds of things. Like these are trending down, meaning they're not going to pop up tomorrow. They're currently going down. Not as fast as they were maybe a couple months ago, but still going down. All right, number 4. We got G.I. Joe's number 1. Now, this is G.I. Joe, a real American hero. I'm just putting G.I. Joe. Again, this was affected because of the Snake Eyes movie. So 9.6 at its peak in May sold for $1,100. Now selling for $522, minus 53%. A 9.4 sold for $550 in May at its peak. Now selling for $375, minus 32%. A 9.2 back in July sold for $456. Now sells for $309, minus 32%. And if you're looking at this graph, you can see that it's trending down, but there's a little hope, a little bump up. So it's slowly not as bad. The issue with this is so much supply. I had a ton of these, and they all came back from CGC close to the same time, and I cannot get rid of them. They're barely selling at all, and it's just a supply problem. There's too much supply. There's not enough demand. The movie's kind of gone and done with, and there's just no demand for it. Now, this next one, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people in the comments telling me I'm wrong, but I'll just show you the data. You can make up your own mind. You don't have to listen to me. All right, last one. Eternals #1. Now you're thinking, the movie's not even out yet. It comes out next month. Let's just look at the data, all right? Its peak for a 9.8 was $3,800 back in May. It currently sells for $2,200. That's current price. This is basically brand new current, like in October. That is minus 42%. A 9.4 back in May sold for $809. That's minus 485%. Or sorry, $485 minus 40%. 9.2 in May sold for $590. Now it sells for $305, minus 48%. So almost roughly around half, right? And if you can look at this graph, you can see how it went really high and it's trending down. These books are still trending down. So I don't foresee it jumping up all of a sudden. And I know a lot of people are like, well, the movie's not coming out, it's getting hyped. Is the movie going to be good? Who knows? Like, you're hoping that it's going to be really good, but we don't really know. That might help it a little bit if it's really, really good, but the problem is there's just so much supply. You can go on eBay right now and see tons of these. So that's kind of like where I see it. I see it trending down. Is it going to? Now, all these books on here, if you're asking me long term, no, these are all good buys, and you buy and hold them. But if you're talking about in the short term, talking about 3-6 months from now, I think they're still trending down. I don't think they hit the bottom yet. Some people say this is a good time to buy. Yeah, you could buy them now. I think most of these will still trend down a little bit. And if you notice, I've done these lists before. So this last one, let's do an update and see where it's been and what's going on with it. And that, of course, the update I'm going to do is on Spider-Man 361. I did this for my first video. It was trending down. I said it'd still go down another 10-20% in my video. So let's look at first appearance of Carnage last month. So I'm going to do August so I get the full month because September is just too close to October. We haven't had a full month of October yet. So in August, a 9.8 on average. I'm not talking about peaks and I'm not talking about lows. I'm talking about this little purple line on the graph. That's the average price of itself for in August. Lots of data on it, lots of sales. 9.8 sold for $929. Currently, the most recent sale is $805. And as you can see in the graph, it's still trending down. That is minus 13%. So basically, this is the first week of October. And then this is in all of August, $929, still trending down. A 9.6 in August, average sold for $368. Currently, most recent sale is $290. That's minus 21%. So as you can see, these aren't even hitting the average price. I'm not saying hit the peak prices. These aren't hitting average prices, not even close to average. Minus 21% from a month ago. A 9.4 averaged $286 and now currently sits at $250. That's minus 13%, still going down. I think when my video came out, I said another like 10 to 20%. I think because what happened to him in the Spider-Man movie, no spoilers, but I think that's why it'll continue to trend down. Long term, if you ask me, should I pick up Carnage book? It's pretty low now. I mean, I'd wait for it to go down some more, but long term, of course, Carnage is a great character. He'll be around for a long, long time. These are great long-term investments, but in the short term, sorry, this one's going to continue to drop. All right, that's all for me. Hope you like this list. Let me know what you think, and have the rest of the weekend.